Hey y'all, happy Thursday. I hope you're having a good day. I am. I'm currently leaving work right now, which makes me feel good. Gonna go home, get some more fresh air, more sunlight, more outdoor time, despite it being a little bit more chilly today, a little more windy. But gonna go spend time outside. So, what do I want to talk about right now? Yesterday, I made a video where I was talking about how I enjoy peace and quiet, and I like a more relaxing environment because it allows me to focus more, think more clearly, that type of thing. Just before I left work, right now, within the last 10 minutes, I had a few minutes on my hand, so I was on my phone looking on YouTube, as I'm addicted to it, and this little 4-minute clip, it was like 4:58, something like that, 4.5 minutes or so, this video of David Foster Wallace, him talking. David Foster Wallace, I believe he killed himself, unfortunately enough, but he was a writer, American writer. He was like a poet. He wrote different types of poems, and what do you call them, like essays. And I've read like a few pages of his stuff. That's literally it. But I have heard his YouTube videos as well, where he'll, like his interviews rather. Very well-educated person. Very pleasing to listen to. I was just watching a video of him, and he was talking about how the American literature is more commercial. How American literature is more commercial, and I forget the other word, but I wouldn't say less intellectual, but maybe kind of in a way. It was more mainstream, more commercial, more for the everyday reader, user, consumer. Describing how here in the United States, he sees the culture as more fast-paced, computer culture, TV culture. He was saying that you always got what you want right now. Can do it, can get whatever you want on your computer, on your phone, on your laptop. It's all right at your fingertips. He was talking about how there has been a degradation of society, specifically in terms of reading. He said that he believed that the American school system used to be harder. I'm not sure what timetable he's referencing, but I would imagine, yeah, maybe when school started out maybe a couple hundred years ago, 100 years ago, maybe school was more difficult because you didn't have computers and phones and technology, and you were forced to read actually difficult books where you had to think for yourself, think clearly. You had to learn to work, to think rather. And David Foster Wallace, he was discussing how nowadays you don't do that, people don't do that enough, and that there's a very small sector of readers in the United States that actually really only go towards those difficult books to read. He mentioned like some more well-known commercial streamlined authors, and he wasn't hating on them. Like he mentioned Stephen King. Like, I love Stephen King, but you know, I get his point. The point was that it's just easier to read like a nice fictional story because it's entertaining, it's a story to follow along, instead of being not forced, but instead of that, you could read some very difficult philosophy, for example. So on top of that, David was talking about how within society and the culture within the US, how there's a tendency to always have sound and noise as well. Like if you go into like a coffee shop now, or like some sort of like sit down place, there's always he was saying that there's always crappy music playing, and that's because it's more comfortable to be instead of sitting in silence and being forced to think for yourself. It's easier to not do that, to listen to just what's given to you, such as more mainstream music. Because David was also using the metaphor of literature to music as well. There's very mainstream music which might not be considered to be very good, where there's a very small amount of people that actually like to listen to the less known, less mainstream music, such as classical music. That was his point, where it's like with reading as well, it's easy to listen to, or it's easy to read the very popular mainstream stuff, but there's also like very more niche subjects that are more difficult to consume, where you have to think more, and just less people do it. Kinda did a crappy job explaining what he was getting at, but I thought it was interesting because part of what he was talking about is kind of paralleled to what I was talking about yesterday in my video, where yesterday I was discussing how I like a quiet environment where I can think for myself or just be able to relax my brain. And David was discussing how that's less part of it. The culture is kind of strayed away from that and gone towards the more chaotic culture, as opposed to more tranquil, allowing yourself the freedom to think and be more clear with yourself. I don't know, I thought that was interesting. I want to link the video in the description that the one of David Foster Wallace that I just listened to, because he makes some great points, and I tried to kind of cover them right here, but I definitely failed to. At least do a good job I failed to do. So I recommend that you go watch that, because he's very well spoken, much more so than I am. He also has a graduation speech for his college. He did one of those, and it was, I never listened to the whole thing, but it's actually pretty well known because of the content that he talked about within his graduation speech. Kind of like it was, I don't know, I wouldn't call it depressing, but he talked about, he really did a good job of, in his graduation speech, like where he was he wasn't graduating from college, he was being like the guest speaker for a graduating class at the college that he went to. But he was doing a speech, and it was just very emotional, very impactful. And that's also on YouTube, where you can go listen to that as well. Alright, y'all, that's all I got for right now. Go listen to some David Foster Wallace, or read some David Foster Wallace. He's really good. Alright, thank you for watching. I love you. Go enjoy the sun. Go outside and read. Think for yourself. Alright, y'all. Peace.